Hey guys, I'm hoping that the microphone works this time. I dropped my phone a few times and actually I'd made a really long video for some other thing. It's like 4 hours long. I bet you're jealous now. Maybe after that the cache memory on the phone was used up and it needed to be restarted. Unfortunately the iPhone XR, it's really difficult to figure out how the fuck to restart it. I mean, to do a reset, to clear the cache and everything. Sometimes the power and down button resets the phone. Other times it calls emergency assistance. I wonder how many emergency calls are being issued worldwide because of iPhone's decision to make pressing the power and volume together, which you just think, okay, well, there's no home button anymore in these new phones. So volume and power, I'll hold these and it starts vibrating and I guess that must be the sound of it restarting. No. It's the sound of it calling emergency services. Every new iPhone in the world is doing that. I'm not sure if Samsung's as well. But on its own, I mean, think about all the people who have to die because they can't get through because these stupid fucking phones have been set up to emergency call emergency services in the case of you pressing the two buttons. And it's not like you can surreptitiously do it when they're in the house and they're coming at you with a knife while you're hiding. I know, I'll just hold the two buttons and I'll whisper into the phone. Because what happens is when it calls emergency services, it vibrates, and then it makes this loud beeping noise. This person's about to call emergency services and they're located right here under the bed. If you were looking for them with that knife or chainsaw that you're carrying around the house. So you'll have time now to kill them quickly so the call doesn't go through, right? And you can track them down straight away. Problem solved. So I've been doing this acting course online and I gave myself a haircut because once again these greys were growing out the sides longer and I just wanted to cut them short. So I shaved with the 15 mils with the beard trimmer and luckily that's where I stopped. I've come to realize that I always like to have these sideburns. There's never a time when I feel like I'm better looking without them. Incidentally, I've just had some skin cut out here on my arm and a little bit here on my nose for just a first dermatologist I ever went to. My mum took me, so yeah, she got a couple of biopsies taken as well. I have been sunburnt throughout my life, but I've spent most of my life awake only at night. Like the only reason I'm awake now in the daytime is because I'm still awake from being awake a couple of nights in a row. Anyway, the thing is, I cut my hair short and I had to make a decision immediately and I couldn't bother making a video for you again just because I'm changing my hair out. You've seen me do that a million times, right? And I had to decide, do I want to keep this short look? Because it was bad. There weren't enough layers really. I cut it incorrectly. I wasn't being precise enough with my cutting technique. It was buffy. It was going junk crunk, like really junk crunkly, So I tried to cut it short and blend it more, and then I realized the hairpiece was actually too short between the perimeter and the front hairline where it should have landed. I realized you can lift it up, and this is a lesson for you that you can actually apply for yourself with poly or even lace. I know this is true with lace as well. If it's not quite reaching the top nub, just above the top nub of your forehead, these nubs here, when you lift your eyebrows up and you see the nubs, the top nub, it should be sitting right there, that hairpiece just on the top nub. Some people have foreheads that are only that long. Some people have foreheads that are probably about that long. That's getting to be about the largest forehead I've seen. Mine is on the largish side. Even since I was a kid, I had a fairly large forehead compared to some other people. But not crazy, like It's not a huge forehead. I mean, some people might think, well, now that I'm wearing a hairpiece, why not give myself the short forehead I always wanted to? I also think there are two reasons wrong with that. One is, you won't look like you did when you were young. You'll look just having a hairier forehead. Unless there was some reason, you know, because of an accident, that your hair was pushed back that far as a kid, I'd go with probably the forehead that you had originally, even if it was quite a long forehead. That's your DNA, right? Getting that back is a pretty good effort if you're balding. You could also choose to put it on there. But the thing is, if you glue over the top of these nubs, that you come down so far that you're over the nubs, when you raise your eyebrows, you're loosening it every time, right? Every time you raise and lower your eyebrows, you're loosening this connection up here. I also get the feeling that there's a lot more, the sweat glands, the pores on your forehead, I think they're a lot bigger than the ones all over your scalp. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that seems to be the case. Like, I sweat more from my forehead than from my scalp, I think. So anyway, the reason I'm pointing this hair out to you is because I ended up going, no. I'm not, even though I stretched it into position, the plastic, so that it did come down to here, I felt like it was probably not the ideal. I mean, here it is right here. So that's how short I'd cut it. So it's not that old, really. It's just, I mean, it's a few weeks old, but there's nothing really deteriorated about it, really. It's quite good condition. So I'll put that in the clean it and use it later pile. But yeah, I decided to start again with another one. And this time I really was very conservative with cutting the hair. So I'd say even up here, my natural hair is only this long, but then even on the first layer, I cut it quite considerably longer, and even up here it's gone like almost to the bottom of my eye when stretched down like that. And I don't know what it looks like from all angles here, but I find it's more controllable when it's longer. And you all know this. Once it's short, it springs up, right? You got no weight to keep it down. The other thing is, what I've been doing all this time, over the time I've been talking, is using muck and brushing my hair in position. They've never bothered to sponsor me or contact me in any way, even though every video basically I've ever made has got muck featured in it. Right? So I owe them nothing. They just foolishly ignored the tags that I was putting forward. So I just started putting a little bit of oil. It smells really nice. This is argan oil, which means that if your hair starts drying out, your hairpiece is dead hair, so it will be already dried out. You can try leave-in conditioner, like this kind of thing. This is about $25, and this is probably about $12. But the leave-in conditioner dries after a while. The oil doesn't really seem to dry that much. But the problem with the oil is that it probably makes your poly shiny. I never have a proper perspective of my own scalp properly with that sort of thing. I also don't know if this is actually the finished length that I want to keep. It just feels kind of nice to have just a nice big forehead covered in hair that will definitely hide any mistakes and allows me to, if I wanted to do a brush back kind of look, just brush back from. That's the other thing. I think that's the reason I kept this in the beginning, right? Because I realized with this, I've been watching a lot of movies and stuff while I've been doing the course, and just observing how neat actors' hair is at all times. It's always perfect. So the thing is, I can't keep that hair gelled back very easily when it's short. But when I've got it longer, I can do more with it. So for brush back looks, it's really ideal. But then having it sort of being all coiffed forward, it's nice to have kind of the curly buffiness here a bit more as well. Though some of these hairs do seem to be bending up to the stars a little bit. So I'm not sure how that gap is going to go in there when the hair's so long in between. But yeah, I think if you ever think about going to the longer look, it works like this. That's what it looks like. It's just kind of versatile. So at the back, I don't know, it might look like I'm wearing a wig really, but then I could sort of gel it over or do some other things and it wouldn't look so bad. So I'm gonna stay with this for a few days. And it also seems like, even though I shaved this a little bit shorter, I wisely stopped there. You'd think, okay, well if that's that short, you've got to blend that up to make that short as well. That's what blends nicely. But I'm thinking maybe the flop here lands in that gap and sort of keeps it okay, potentially. Only probably because I've got the sideburns. I can't believe how much grey is coming through on the sides there. And the other thing I've been observing with actors on television and stuff, in movies, is they're 60 years old and they don't have any grey hairs. Unless it's been sort of deliberate, you know, or polished. But you look at Kiefer Sutherland. I mean, he's not in Young Guns anymore. He's president of the United States and designated survivor, and he's definitely over 50. Not a grey hair on his head. So if that's the kind of level that Hollywood's looking for, I mean, of course, there are people with grey. Otherwise, you just have everybody the same age in every movie, right? But for leading man parts, for example, or a leading woman, I reckon grey equals old. I mean, that's the stereotype. Grey equals old. Even though, you know, there's some 20-year-olds with grey hair. Like Steve Martin as a comedian, he was always grey, right? As long as you can remember. Yeah. So, so I'm concerned with that, and also I want to monitor. I mean, how my aging is going, right? I don't want to dye my hair constantly dark all the time, and then all of a sudden one day go, okay, I'm going on holiday now. I'm not going to take the Just for Men with me or whatever. So I'm just going to see what happens. And then all of a sudden I'm completely grey, and I never saw the transition. I never saw, you know, the leaves turn brown before winter comes, you know. It'd be quite a devastating shock. But then, like I say, grey doesn't necessarily only come to the elderly. I can't believe I'm fucking elderly. I'm supposed to have had kids and a wife and shit by now. At least a job, right? Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll get into acting. Hopefully my acting career will pay off and I'll get my shit together. But right now, I fully intend, after being awake for 2 days, to start drinking alcohol, even though I've got an assignment due tomorrow, but I've got to go away to my mum's place for a thing. I'm going to take sleeping tablets, which say they will enhance the effect of alcohol. It's not advertised that well. This box, amyltryptamine. May increase the effects of alcohol. Well, these are a lot cheaper than alcohol, so maybe you can half my dosage. Got some Chivas Regal, aged 12 years. Not bad. It was the same price as for 1 litre. It was the same price as 2 bottles of 700ml Johnny Walker. So actually, it was cheaper. So it's usually 80. So I saved so this was $60 anyway. For those of you who are in other countries where alcohol is still cheap, you know, got 75% excise tax. Actually, I think there's like 90% excise tax on cigarettes here. It's $40 for a packet of cigarettes in Australia. $2 for 2 litres of cow's milk. $4 or $5 for a loaf of bread. Yeah, I am a hypocrite for drinking cow's milk, but it's hard to give up everything. But just for this skin cancer sore, I got this stuff, so I'm happy with that. basically because it was cheapest. But I think a lot of people are trying to avoid torturing animals just so they can get makeup. Because what's it called, vivisection, like holding a fucking rabbit's head in a vice, right, and just dripping acidic shit into it and watching the reactions, and it's disgusting. How can somebody be okay with that? I mean, how can somebody go and do that job? You get into science and all you care about are the results without giving a fuck about the feelings of the sacrificial. You've got to be lying, like mice and rabbits and chimpanzees and stuff like that. Fuck, they get it pretty fucking bad, don't they? Like being held in a box. That's torture. They're being tortured. Like, I would not mind. In fact, I'd enjoy maybe seeing somebody who's that guilty of living a life like that. You might say that, oh, they cured cancer, so don't be too angry at them. Yeah. I'd still be happy to watch them get tortured in the same way that they tortured those animals. That's pretty fucked up. Justice is something that we shouldn't just ignore. Like, I mean, I was raised to follow Jesus Christ of Nazareth. His idea was, first of all, be nice to your slaves. And the other thing he said was forgive, basically. That's the gist of the summaries that we've been given. Anyway, I can't forgive. Forgiving was how I always used to do it. It just doesn't work. If you keep stepping aside and letting people get away with shit, they'll continue to do it. And sooner or later, they'll push you aside and say, move out of the way, squirt, right? And then take the entire village down. War is not worse than annihilation. Peace is the best. Well, actually, jubilation is the best. Like, man, going to the moon. That's big, right? Happy 50-year anniversary. I hope something like that happens in my lifetime. Congratulations to any of you who are alive and are old enough to experience and remember what that day must have been like, or that mood must have been like for humanity. I don't know if news traveled as quickly and people talked about it as much in those days, but shit, that's a big deal considering it was just like science fiction before then. 1957, I think, was the first human in space. The Russian guy, I can't remember his name, the cosmonaut Yuri, is that right? And then the Apollo missions. Amazing. And we haven't been back. 1972, I think, was the last man who walked to the moon. It's only Apollo 11, 12, 13 or something. There were, fuck, I can't believe it. There's been nobody's been on the moon in my lifetime. That's fucked up, man. At least there's a space station whizzing over our heads at about 18,000 kilometers an hour. That is the speed you need to go to not fall into the planet. That's the speeds to follow the curvature to remain above the falling. If they drop speed, they're basically traveling parallel to the ground. And if they were going less than the speed they're going, they would fall in. So that's amazing, isn't it? 50 years. Anyway, happy 50-year anniversary. Congratulations to Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins, and Neil Armstrong, and the entire team at NASA. And I should say, well done America for winning that race. But everywhere they went, people around the world that they visited said, we did it. Humanity, we did it. Not like humanity versus all the other animals. You suck, ha ha ha, humanity wins again, motherfuckers. Fucking have some shampoo in your eyeball. No, it was more like we are. Is it better than the last generation? Or is it just like we are united and it feels good? I'm not sure what that is. We've committed the opposite of violence. Getting back to that war thing just quickly, war is better than annihilation. Like, if somebody's annihilating, just completely power abusing, taking advantage, sending men with guns into a town, city, village, country, and just killing off anyone who they don't like, with no resistance, you haven't even got a war. But what sane person would think that that is preferable to war? War being a situation where there's resistance and now there are people fighting back. So to remove your walls, to remove your defense systems, knowing the way reality actually is, you're basically just killing your people. You have to defend them if you're in charge. That's all there is to it. Nature is not about neatness and everybody getting along. Nature, by default, is entropic. Chaos. Everything wants to break down into little pieces and clump together into rocks and stuff. That's how planets form after all. But yeah, it's not, here's another thing, just for you on a personal level, this should make you feel better about your despair in life, because life sucks, right? In general. Life sucks in general. So it's the default to feel anguish. Imagine if you're a baby and you're just lying there and nobody comes to spend any time with you. You're dead, okay? Step one, help the baby. And if you're a baby, be helped, okay? If you're without companionship for long enough, you get fucking mental, man. You know what I mean? So if your friends have ever deserted you when you were at your lowest and you felt like you needed, like you told them you were lonely and that's the reason they left you, especially find an assassin to kill them. Really, it'll make you feel so much better than Jesus' way of doing things, really. Am I inciting violence? Am I joking? Yeah. There's no justice. The legal system doesn't care. It's not going to help you. If people abandon those of their friends who are depressed or in need, or desperately need companionship and understanding, and that's the time the friend decides to desert them, the law has nothing to say about that. Tough shit. But we all know that any friend who decides, yeah, you're not fun anymore, I'm gonna go off over here and fuck your girlfriend, she's fun, or some shit like that, you know what I mean? Motherfucker deserves to die. What a fucking asshole, right? So, justice, I prize it more highly now than forgiveness. Yeah, sorry I killed your family. That's all right. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Praise Jesus. Jesus loves you, my brother. Try not to kill any more families. No, I haven't got anything to lose anymore. So, you do what you want. Because Jesus will forgive you. Just kill him, and ask for forgiveness, and then say, huh? And then you'll see a sign. Maybe it'll be a bubblegum wrapper on the ground, and it's folded up into the shape of Jesus Christ. And when you see that, you'll know that the good Lord has sent his blessing, fairy dust, down upon you, and you're forgiven. Then you can go kill another family and ask for forgiveness again. Fuck forgiveness. Revenge, justice, punishment, retribution. people aren't punching each other in the face often enough anymore. And this whole woke, which is a renaming of political correctness movement, of dogmatism and saying that you're losing an argument because you're basically committing a doublespeak or whatever it is. What are the thought police looking out for in George Orwell's dystopian nightmare 1984? Anyway, I hope the fucking audio's worked on this time. This is what hair that's sort of medium length kind of fucking looks like, alright? I might have to do something about this, but I'm not going to do it now. I just want to get a drink, get some Chivas Regal into me, and take these 2 little sleeping tablets. And watch Star Wars The Last Jedi. I just watched The Force Awakens, and I've just started watching The Last Jedi. And this comes after watching all these reviews that go for hours and hours and hours, nitpicking every little plot hole. And I probably shouldn't say nitpicking because they said don't use the word nitpicking. Presenting a very clear argument about why things are happening in the story without proper adherence to logical decisions that a human being would make, and rather just these characters have to do it because it just says so in the story. Like they take Poe, like at the start of, I don't want to get into it, but just one example, Kylo Ren comes down to, was it Jakku? Rey's planet, and this old guy at the start. He's got this history with Leia, but he wasn't one of the characters from any of the, original trilogy. They just abbreviate that to OT now, original trilogy. 4, 5, and 6, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. They come down. This guy apparently knows where the piece of map is that will give a clue as to Luke Skywalker's appearance, whereabouts, because Snoke, who fucking just comes and goes quickly without any real reason, just as a mentor for fucking Kylo Ren, Ben Solo. Anyway, Kylo Ren comes down, questions this guy. He says, "You're better than this," or something. "You've got good in you from your family." He says, "Nah, fuck you," and doesn't even question him, using the force mind power on him or anything. And then Poe, the pilot, shoots Kylo, and then obviously Kylo Ren just stops the fucking laser blast in midair, which is fucking awesome. And anyway, this is way off hair topics, but these people's hair are some things that I observed as well. You should watch movies and stuff and see how neat people can have their hair in movies and stuff, and that's probably where you should be at. Are there people in your life who have more neat hair? Anyway, the things that they're pointing out, the plot points out, they find Poe because he was shot in retaliation for the old man being murdered by Kylo Ren with the crucifix, fucking red death lightsaber. And instead of just doing a mind trick on him now, do you know where the map is? Nah, okay, mind thing. No, they take him all the way up to the spaceship, and then why don't they just check his ship? They blow his ship up without inspecting whether or not he's hiding the map in there. So that's a big plot hole. It doesn't make any sense. They take him up, and they're probably going to find, oh, he just dug it a little hole and put it right there. They could just ask him, where is it? And Kylo Ren does the mind meld thing on him. And instead they take him all the way up to the mothership, the Dreadnought or wherever they're staying. Yeah. Anyway, I like it. I really like it. I like Star Wars a lot. And watching it again, despite all these, it was just written that way. That's why they chose to do it. These characters had no mind of their own. It's all predetermined because the author of the script has decided it is so. And so without any reasoning, like a good movie where logic applies and we are invested in why do they choose that decision? Oh, don't do that, he's right behind you or something, right? We just have to, okay. Nobody would actually choose to do that in real life, but I guess that's how it happens when you've got to have lots of explosions. I guess it's this time in the movie and now this has to happen, so therefore that's why it's happening, rather than having any logical sentiment that we can feel towards things based on something we can relate to, because real people would choose these kind of actions. Anyway, I love it. I love watching it. It's action-packed, it's colorful, there are explosions, laser beams, blah, 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 blah. Fucking love it. You should watch it again too. And I think it's December that the the fall of Skywalker? The something of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker, is it? I'm just assuming that Rey, the girl, main character in the third trilogy, I'm just assuming that Rey is fucking Luke's daughter. I don't know who Luke's. No, it could be Obi-Wan. Is Obi-Wan the right age for that? Okay, it could be Obi-Wan's daughter. I don't know. Because she keeps referring to finding her parents again. And I acknowledge the idea that they've brought forward in this new trilogy that everybody has access to using the Force. And then in the prequels, they talked about the midichlorian count, which is based on mitochondria, undoubtedly, because they're the batteries in your cells in your body. Midichlorians, they're little creatures who live throughout the universe and give us the energy we need to use the Force and stuff. That was a strange explanation. Every director seems to get a new writer or something. Yeah. Anyway, here's my new haircut. This is what it looks like in sunshine. And I take the pills and drink. Yeah.